What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1021 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am so very glad to be back with each and every one of you, and I am so very glad to be back with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I hope that you haven't forgotten us. I hope those were just jokes in the chat. We are finally back on schedule to deliver you the nourishing content that you rightly deserve. And we have started off strong. We already have a crisis party thanks to Shane H. Wilder.
Yep.
Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. We missed y'all. We was scared. Glad to see you're both feeling better. That will teach you to eat dinosaurs, Brett. You get bronchitis from brontosaurus. I'm sorry, I'll get my coat and clean myself out. Anyway, dance journey a dance. I'm dancing. I'm doing as I'm told.
Yep. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I can't even say that I necessarily feel all that much better. It's just that my voice is at least passable to do the show, and I don't know how long something like this goes on. A lot of people were kind of wondering like why the show couldn't go on in my absence, but the thing is we don't like when they do IRL, right? They have it's not just Tim. You've got your producer, you've got it's Carter, you've got people making thumbnails and all that stuff. And since that's like I do all that stuff, there isn't really like we don't have like a backup setup, and everybody that works here has their own jobs, right? Like they've got stuff that they have to do, and it's very hard to ask people to fill in and kind of take over something that is that many hours worth of work every day.
Yeah, and then it was just really bad timing with you starting to kind of crawl your way back into health, and then I fell ill right at that instant. So the week was it was a wash. But we're back, and that's what's important, guys.
Exactly.
There's a reason to have hope again.
My hope is that my voice holds up through the episode. So what I've noticed is that it's only when I get really excited that it ends up cracking or sounding really, really bad.
You just have to be mellow.
Yeah, I recorded a short yesterday about something, and my voice just cracked at one point. So I went back and re-recorded a part like for the very beginning, mentioning that my voice was still bad, so that people just don't think that I'm randomly going through puberty again.
I think that you might have brought it on yourself in a way because you kept saying you like your voice better like this.
Oh, yeah.
And God was just like, okay, keep it.
Be that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how you like it.
Guys, we've got a bunch of stuff to get into today, and I want to thank you all so much for sticking with us and being back here with us on the show. What are we talking about today? Well, we got a bunch to discuss, but hit the like button on the video. Subscribe to the channel, perhaps, if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the episodes out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people in your life that you both love and hate. The more people that you share the content with, the faster this channel can grow. Remember that channel memberships are now open. There are emojis that can be used in there. I am working out more bonus content to be made as well. Another thing that I was working on before I got decked by, whoever's in charge of sickness in the world. I know that RFK Jr. is probably pissed at me, but we got a bunch of stuff coming out. So, make sure you check out, see if you're still a channel member. Thank you guys so much. Look forward to more of you joining so that we can be putting out more content for you guys. I've actually been considering this. I'm not even kidding you. Me and Olivia have been watching endless Hallmark murder mysteries, and I'm thinking about doing like a Saturday live stream just talking about the feminism of the Hallmark channel.
So it's, as you put it, a lot of the dad tropes.
Oh shucks, dad's an idiot.
Yeah, but I would expect the feminism in Hallmark movies to be more about, I guess. Well, it's interesting because a lot of people would say it's the opposite because it's about, corporate girl bosses abandoning their city lives to go to the country and fall in love with a good old-fashioned gentleman.
I'm not watching those movies though. The murder mysteries are a little bit different. So like in the Lori Loughlin garage sale mysteries, she owns an antique shop, and her husband is an architect. They own this beautiful home, and as the movies go on, he just gets progressively dumber. He literally gets by the end of it, he's like, I don't know how to put up an IKEA cabinet.
Yesterday, I can't believe it took this long, but I just learned what it means to Flanderize a character.
Oh, like Ned Flanders.
Yeah, I hadn't watched The Simpsons, so I didn't know where that term came from.
Aw, shucks, Neighboroonie.
Then I thought about how many different characters that has happened to. I was like, that happened to SpongeBob for one.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this is a similar scenario you're talking about.
So there's going to be more bonus content, guys. Have no fear. So what are we getting into today? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Look, it was like the busiest news week ever while we were off air, and it was unbelievably frustrating.
Insane.
Like I was like, and here's the thing: all the news is going to be old by the time that we get back. But we are still going to talk about Harry Potter. We're going to talk about the casting of Black Snape. We can't show you the trailer because we'll get copyright struck and the channel will get taken down, but we're going to get into some of the controversy. We're going to talk about all of that. We are also going to talk about the drama, which is the new Zendaya and Robert Pattinson movie, and there's some controversy about that I was actually shocked was even considered controversy, but we'll get into all of that. We are also going to talk about Magic Wand Girl. If you don't know what that is, just be thankful that you're not on the internet nearly as much as us.
Yeah, but to preface that, for later, she has a toy magic wand with her boyfriend's credit card in it, and people have a lot of feelings about that.
Yep. We got a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, so glad to see both of you back and healthy. Brett, great piece on Person of Interest was posted on Screen Rant on March 19th. Okay. All right.
Oh, really?
Healthy would be a stretch, but we're getting there.
You published an article?
So he's saying somebody else likely wrote a piece about it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. All right, guys, before we get started, I do want to bring your attention to this because today's episode of PCC is in fact sponsored by Rumble Wallet. It's look. One of the things going on right now is that you already know that why people are moving to crypto, but here's the problem. Most wallets still plug into the same system we are trying to escape in the first place. That is why Rumble created Rumble Wallet. It is a self-custodial wallet that lives inside an ecosystem that actually defends free speech and financial freedom. No bank holding your balance. Not even Rumble can touch your funds. This is your money on your keys on your terms. If you're already using Bitcoin or stable coins, Rumble Wallet gives you even more power. Direct, fast tipping and support for creators right on Rumble. You can do that on our channel right here if you're watching on Rumble. Without waiting weeks for payouts or dealing with random account holds, on-chain payments and assets like Bitcoin, Tether Gold, and USAT, so you can move value globally without asking anyone for permission. Most wallets stop at storage, but Rumble Wallet connects your wallet to a marketplace of ideas that refuses to cave to censorship. So if you are serious about sovereignty, financial, and digital, this is where you level up. Go to wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in your app store, download it, back up your recovery phrase, and move your money where it belongs, in your hands. Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. See terms at wallet.rumble.com. And I do want to thank Rumble Wallet for sponsoring the episode today.
We have one more $20 super chat before we move into the show.
Go for
from
it.
Pop Culture Junkie. So glad to see you're both back and healthy. Brett, great piece on Person of Interest.
I read that one.
Oh, did you? Oh, you read that one already. Okay, I was just making sure.
We're getting back into this. We're getting back into the swing of things.
We always seem to mistakenly skip Pop Culture Junkie's $20 super chats specifically. Like, I feel like he gets the short end of the stick so often.
Does
I just wanted to be extra sure that we got that one.
And he's always the one who's like giving us like a bunch of like real world info about stuff inside the industry. It happens every time.
Okay.
All right. I do want to address this one really quick here. Chief Corey Anderson says, do membership super chats count towards the crisis meter? So they don't show up on the crisis meter, but I do keep track of how many gifted memberships show up. And if we get 20 gifted memberships, that does equal a crisis party.
Okay.
All right. Let's get started then.
So, one of the stories that we didn't get to cover while we were absent is about Olivia Rodrigo's recent interview in British Vogue, where she discussed her future goals. And they asked her if marriage was one of them. And she responded in shock, disgust, and horror at the very idea of getting married at her tender age of what, 23?
23? Yeah. She's basically a child bride, she said.
So this is the context. I wanted to put this into context because I think there are a couple of different ways that you could interpret this. She's talking about growing up as a Disney child star. They say missing out on those classic coming of age experiences has been the price of her early ambition. Class for her had to be on the Disney set, 30 minutes to an hour between takes, about 4 castmates in a computer room doing online programs. She says, first of all, this is a hot take for her. I hated homeschooling. If I had kids, I would put them in school. Just a quick note there. I don't think you can say that her experience is the experience of like 99% of homeschoolers.
No.
Being a child star on a Disney set is not the same thing as being homeschooled.
Something crazy that I just learned. So when I was reading up on all the stuff about Harry Potter, they built a school on set for all the kids. So they have like an entire school that was just constructed, and they can't even work most of the time because they can only film 4 hours a day.
Right.
That's it. That doesn't count like time in the makeup chair, wardrobe, and all of the other stuff that has to get done. But it's unbelievably strict being able to work in that world.
I was just gonna mention that because it's weird that she made that subtle dig at homeschooling when her experience is just not a normal homeschooling experience or any experience really. But anyway, they were talking about how odd it is to grow up in the public eye as a child star and what that does to your personality and how quickly you're expected to mature as a professional, but you aren't able to develop yourself in other ways, like in your personal relationships. And they ask, is she beginning to think about the family that she would start in the future and maybe marriage? They mention that there is a song of hers called So American, and it's has a lyric in it that says, I'm gonna marry him. And, you know, she's writing this, one of her first actual love songs.
Yeah.
The rest of her discography is basically about being an obsessive, crazy stalker.
We got a 20 here really quick. I don't want to, because it's pop culture junkie again, and I don't want to miss it. It says, thank you for the compliment and always adding to my collection of the ends of short sticks. That's what he said.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glad that we got to that. So they ask her if, you know, this song of hers actually reflects what she wants to do with her future. And she says, oh my gosh, long way from that for sure. And she quotes a TV show called Broad City, which I wasn't familiar with, saying, what am I, a child bride? I hope that young girls know that life is full of so much joy that is unrelated to a husband or kids. But that being said, I want to be a mom more than anything. I already feel like I've done a lot in my career that I've wanted to do, and I feel more mature for my age than maybe I should. So I don't know, ... And then she kind of just trails off, and she says because she never had a normal upbringing and didn't go to school like other kids and wasn't around people her age, she feels like she didn't grow up the same way, and she had to catch up in her maturity at a faster rate than her friends. And she feels like she has a lot of growing up to do, but at the same time has been a grown up for longer than most people her age.
Yes.
So I'm trying to be charitable in my interpretation here, but I just think it would have been so much more intellectually honest for her to answer this question by saying, I'm the most successful ticket selling pop musician my age. I'm selling out stadiums. My career is soaring right now, and I want to focus on that instead of getting married. Like, wouldn't that be a more honest answer than this joke about how she's just a widow baby and couldn't possibly handle that level of responsibility?
I think the going more abstract probably plays more to their artistic side, and what you just described, even if it's accurate, is she a stadium seller or is she an arena? Like I don't remember what the difference is.
She's a stadium seller.
Okay.
Yeah, which makes her an anomaly because Tim has talked about this at length. She's literally the only Gen Z pop star who is consistently selling out large venues, like stadiums.
It would come off as pretty self-absorbed, even if it's true to say something like that, and it probably speaks more to the artist side of these people to give you a more abstract quote than that.
Yeah.
To be completely honest. I do want to point out that one of the things about Olivia Rodrigo that is possibly the most interesting is that quotes like this make her a bit of a deconstruction machine. So what we saw after that, your point was, this was a quote from Evie Magazine, who points out that she wants to be a mom more than anything, but it was Buzzing Pop that points out that she's a long way from marriage. And what it can be used to highlight, guys, is every single news site is going to be able to tailor their quote to fit their audience. So if you're Evie Magazine and you want to share a positive idea of motherhood with an audience, now that's not to say that that isn't entirely accurate, because it would be long-winded to say Olivia Rodrigo, who also likes to advertise Plan B and talks about how 23 is too young to get married, does want to be a mom. I get it. That doesn't necessarily hold water with editorial, but it just proves that where you get your news is what's going to feed into your brain. So somebody who focuses on the negative is going to focus on her, was she giving out Plan B and then she had to stop? Right?
Yes.
I don't want to misquote. I don't want to misremember that situation. Or the quotes here about, 23 being too young to marry. Where you get your information will tailor your review of these celebrities. So if you're somebody who doesn't know anything about Olivia Rodrigo, you come away from that Evie Magazine quote thinking, wow, I like the cut of her jib. Things are turning around over there in Hollywood, when that's not necessarily the case. Most of the time you have to go looking for these full interviews if you want to really understand the full scope of what they're talking about.
Right. Like, it reminds me of the speech that Kieran Culkin gave when he was accepting an Oscar, I believe, or maybe it was at the Golden Globes.
It was at some award show.
He said, like, oh, my wife promised me we could have a fourth kid if I won this award. Yay. And everyone was like, wow, Hollywood has embraced family values. This is incredible.
And as I pointed out to you earlier, I said, if you want proof that Hollywood doesn't have a shortage of kids there, why is it that every kid is a Nepo child? If nobody in Hollywood is having kids, why is everybody a Nepo baby?
Where are all the Nepo babies coming from?
They don't just appear.
Are they getting dropped off by storks?
Yes, that's what it is.
Happening?
Now you
So
could
it's all
make the argument that maybe the Nepo babies aren't the product of great homes. I don't know what percentage of them have divorced parents, but that's not the point. The point is they are having kids.
Well, like, I'm glad that you brought up how this was framed differently by different outlets that have their own biases, because it is really all about framing how you interpret this. One thing that I wanted to say is that she wasn't given credit for quoting from a TV show when she said, "What am I, a child bride?" It's not actually her genuine feeling about it. Yeah. She is making fun of herself in a way. I thought of it as perhaps a self-deprecating remark, because the phrase is a famous quote from this character in the show who is 27. And she says this when her boyfriend suggests they move out of New York City and get married and have a family. And they added that line in the show to make fun of the character for infantilizing herself. So in a way, when Olivia Rodrigo quotes the show, she is also making fun of herself for having her own, doubts and misgivings about her ability to grow up and take on the responsibility of marriage and family.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, even the Hallmark Channel, like I said, all those Candace Cameron Bure movies, the Aurora Teagarde movies, she just cycles through boyfriends and can't commit because, like, her dad is not in her life entirely and she spends all her time with her mom. So that level of feminist programming has been going on for decades, even from the ones who have been champions of conservative media. I mean, Candace Cameron Bure is a conservative media person. She went to Great American Family and had that whole quote about keeping traditional marriage at the core of the of the new franchise, which, by the way, the owner of it walked back. Yeah. He's like, yeah, she didn't say that on behalf of Great American Family. But the point is like, even the most conservative of media supposedly has that level of feminist programming. So to expect anything less from a 23-year-old pop star would be a fool's errand.
Yeah, and she is basically reflecting the attitudes of women her age, despite being an exceptional person and having all of this fame and wealth. I think she's saying something that is incredibly relatable to her audience, and perhaps that's why she's saying it in part. One of the comments said to Evie magazine, "You guys highlighting the same Olivia Rodrigo that partnered with abortion advocacy groups in Missouri to hand out Plan B and contraceptives is certainly a choice." So it's like, no matter what, people are going to want to focus on the negative instead of the positive. And the reality is you can hold two ideas at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even necessarily contradict one another. Like what she said, like even if we don't like the idea of her handing out Plan B, of course, because that's kind of insane. Like it doesn't necessarily, thinking that you shouldn't get pregnant young does not mean that she doesn't want to have kids one day, or even that she doesn't want to get married one day. It's just that her focus isn't on those ideas right now.
I mean, personally, I think that it's disgusting that she handed out Plan B and condoms and lube at a concert where there are a bunch of children.
About that.
I thought that was obviously
was that real?
Disgusting and gross. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that happened. That happened. And she is one of the most outspoken, rabidly pro-abortion pop stars out there.
Look, from everything I know, Olivia Rodrigo's done. It's Olivia Dean time now. It's time for Olivia Dean to ascend.
Yeah, Olivia Dean is the so-called trad wife of pop now. But that is her reputation, and she's very public and very outspoken about that. Like, she is passionate about abortion.
Wow, that's disturbing.
Even more so than Zara Larson.
Yeah.
So that
Did you see
is
the
worth
Zara
pointing out, but also the reality is she has contradictory beliefs.
Did you see the Zara Larson post that she made about how she lost out on some $3 million endorsement deal because of her abortion comments? I'm like, from who? Like,
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, who backed out of that deal because of you being pro-abortion, which didn't even lose you any money or fans?
Like, otherwise. I can't think of who it would be. Like, I have no idea. Like, was she gonna get a deal with Angel Studios or something?
It's puzzling, isn't it? In this day and age, how is that controversial anymore?
Yep. All right, look, guys, I saw this last night and I sent it to Mary, but quick, because I knew that she would want to talk about Henry Cavill and the fact that he is being slandered. Actually, I should say his girlfriend, his baby mama, is being slandered online, claiming that she is not a looks match to Henry Cavill.
Right. Henry Cavill is a cuffed man. He has been in a long-term relationship with a film producer named Natalie Viscuso since 2021, and they took it public in 2022. They have a child together now, and this is for the long haul, okay? But people have this weird tendency to trash her for her looks, and I've seen this happen before. This is not the first time that people have posted insulting things about Natalie Viscuso, but I think it's this was the most recent example. Here, this viral tweet from India, a men's rights account, mind you, from India, says Henry Cavill and his longtime partner Natalie Viscuso, they aren't particularly looks matched. Most would agree he is noticeably better looking than her. Yet examples like this are quite common. It highlights how men frequently prioritize loyalty, honesty, and compatibility over purely superficial looks.
I'm sorry, but this is what I was talking about earlier about framing, and everything on X is some type of weird narrative framing, or there's 10,000 reasons you can love a person. they're just listing the ones that fit whatever their topics of discussion are amongst their followers, right? By the way, they chose like a purposefully like bad photo, I guess, because
there are so many photos of them on a red carpet where they are dressed up, and
she's literally just Gypsy Rose Blanchard if Gypsy Rose Blanchard, didn't look like Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
This is like the photo that Gypsy Rose Blanchard brought to her plastic surgeon
and said, I want to look like
her
this.
nose job. Yeah. So they definitely went for a less than flattering photo of Natalie. She is a pretty woman. And you know what? I think they are a looks match. Call me crazy, but I think they're a looks match. Am I wrong for saying that? What do you think?
Look, I don't even know what the so how many of the women in Hollywood end up with producers who are just normal looking dudes? Scarlett Johansson, like what does her husband look like? I have no idea. Any of these actresses, they end up with normal looking dudes. And also, I guess Henry Cavill isn't a great example because they're not married, but I bet you if somebody did a study, right, on the long-term success of a relationship, dating somebody who's behind the camera, like a producer, probably gets you a longer relationship than dating somebody else who's in front of the camera. That's the reason all the women end up with investment bankers and producers and somebody who works in finance.
Yeah, Henry Cavill has done this before. The 19-year-old that he dated some 10 years back was not a famous person. She was just a normal girl, and they made public appearances together, but she wasn't a celebrity or an actress.
Also point out here, it says, it highlights how men frequently prioritize loyalty, honesty, and compatibility. You don't know anything about their private lives, so you're just making shit up.
Yeah.
You're literally just making up what you think his reasons are. Maybe that's accurate. Maybe it's not. They've been dating since how long?
They've been together since 2021.
Okay, so like you have discerned that loyalty and honesty is the bedrock of their 4-year or 5-year relationship based on a photo of them walking out holding hands. It's not. It's just narrative framing for whatever your X account pushes the ideas.
And it's like somehow Henry Cavill is like this virtuous hero for stooping to date such an unsightly woman.
Yes, that's what they're saying.
Wow, he must be such a good person for waking up to that ugly face every morning. Like, it's just ridiculous the way that it's worded.
Yes.
And it's catty also. It's like, oh, I was saying something positive about their relationship, but you're making it a negative thing. Like, no, you were trashing her for no reason.
Yes.
Obviously.
Also, like, look, the idea of the looks, like, what do you think about that concept in general? Because you've posted about looks matching in general. What are your general thoughts on the idea of looks matching? Because for the most part, it is a uniquely internet discussion. You don't go to a bar and ask somebody their opinion on somebody's looks match. At the very least, they're going to look at you like you're nuts until you explain what the hell that means, right? Because, okay, the average everyday person understands that, like, when you go to Target and you see two people walking together, you can make a comparison about whether these two people fit, right? But if you're using the term looks matching, you're just giving away the idea that you're terminally online.
The only times that I am taken by surprise, like when a couple is not looks matched, is when I see a guy who's fit with a woman who is fat. And
I saw that all the time. Like when I worked at gas stations, I saw those types of things all the time.
It's less likely that you'd see the opposite arrangement, though. You're more likely to see a guy who's physically fit with a woman who's overweight.
Yeah.
From my experience.
That's what I'm saying. I saw that quite a bit.
Another scenario is when a girl like tells me about an ex of hers who is just an absolute nightmare to be with, and then I see a picture of them together and he also looks horrible. Like, I was like, wow, so there was just like no trade-off there. Like, you weren't even putting up with it because he was pretty. So those are the scenarios that I come across, and it goes both ways. There's also, like, of course, the statistics about how to women, they are not attracted to 80% of the male population, and they only find 20% of the male population attractive.
Well, they show you the like the scale of like what they find, how they rate men, and they rate almost all of them negative,
unattractive.
Yes, yeah.
Right. But and that is often circulated as a black pill, which I don't think you should interpret it that way, because it turns out like most women do end up, you know, with a guy who is basically in their range of attractiveness, and it's because they are able to grow in attraction over time to a man who may be on a screen on, like, if you're like swiping on Tinder, you wouldn't initially find him attractive.
This is I should have if I had been doing my job properly, I would have brought up some of these examples. Some of those videos have been going around again. I don't know how many of them are real and how many of them, like, a lot of them are skits and they're really funny, where it's like, he wasn't my first choice, but I grew to love him, and they'll like post that. And I guess like the skits are kind of satirizing the fact that anybody would post that, or like, how does your husband know that you're even posting a video like that? It's like them holding, like hugging and giving each other a kiss out in public. And then it's got like the infographic at the bottom that says like, he wasn't my first choice, but I grew to love him over time.
Okay. I don't think it's in good taste to post things like that.
That's the opposite of good taste. That's evil.
That you should not say stuff like that.
It's like when people brought up the idea of the lovable mid. And then they're like, what do you mean? That's a compliment. No, it's not. Whatever you want to say, it's not a compliment.
It's like a subtle way to like neg somebody and introduce like insecurity and anxiety in the relationship so the person stays with you.
If I ever go out on my own, I have a channel called the lovable mid. That's me. I will be the internet's lovable mid.
Welcome to the Lovable Mid podcast.
Exactly. Look, and here's the thing, for Henry Cavill, like the point seems to be that like he's become like this weird lightning rod for these types of discussions, much in the same way that Margot Robbie has about, like Margot Robbie is mid. Something about Henry Cavill, maybe it is because he's so imminently hated by one portion of the internet that he's become this form of conversation, and it's actually more than his movies and television shows post Superman. Like, nobody was talking about the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I saw it, and and I wasn't talking about it. But you can have these discussions.
He also has like this sort of, I don't know, there's like a portion of Henry Cavill fans, like male fans of his, who have like a homoerotic obsession with him. And it wouldn't even matter who he's with. She would never be good enough for their Henry Cavill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, but that's the guy version of stan
feeling
culture.
Of possessiveness over him.
That's the guy version of stan culture, with all of the women who got really upset every time Taylor Swift had a new boyfriend because they weren't sure that he was good enough for her. Which, spoiler alert, they would never be good enough for her.
And this just feels appropriate to bring up in this discussion. Recently, Barry Keoghan opened up about the abuse that he has faced online for his appearance. He is definitely a unique-looking fella in Hollywood. He's not a traditional handsome face. I would say
he is what happens, like if Ezra Miller goes bad, like looks wise. He's just like more brutal looking Ezra Miller.
I don't know if it's like a specific Irish gene. Like I don't know. I don't like Barry Keoghan's face nose. Personally.
Like let's be honest.
Very weird looking guy.
You want to read his quote?
Yeah, this is what he had to say. There's a lot of hate online. There's a lot of abuse of how I look, and it's kind of past the point of, everyone goes through that, but it's made me shy away. It made me really go inside myself, not want to attend places, not want to go outside. I say this being absolute, pure, and honest. It's becoming a problem. I'm still a curious human being that wants to go on the internet. And if I attend an event or if I go somewhere, you want to see how it's received. And it's not nice, So he's started to pose for photos with his hand over his face, like fully covering his face, because he's so insecure as a result of the comments that he's seen about his appearance online.
Well, I'm going to give him the same critique that I would give the women who say about stuff like this, which is that you picked the wrong job, my friend.
Definitely. And I would say, even if you privately feel this way about the comments on your appearance, you definitely shouldn't let people know that it bothers you, because they're just going to double down.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's the worst possible response to the hate.
Anytime somebody says something negative about me, like, I just read it. If I get annoyed, I get annoyed, but by responding, you end up making it, you've now allowed them to know where the target should be, and they're going to focus on that entirely.
And, you know, especially because he's so successful and famous, he has that to fall back on. He doesn't have to rely on, I don't know, being a teen heartthrob for his career. What's
interesting is, like, I watch so much, like, network television again, because I've got these 3 shows that I'm watching. I'm watching RJ Decker, I'm watching Best Medicine, and I'm watching High Potential. And what I've realized, High Potential skews on the younger side as far as casting goes, but I'm not even kidding you, most of the people in these shows, they're just the same people that were in shows 20 years ago, and they're old now. And here's the thing, they don't necessarily look bad, but you think of them when they were younger. He's going to benefit from this when he gets older, because he's got to be in his mid-30s, maybe at the most. He's not approaching 40 yet, I can't imagine. Maybe you can look it up. Maybe he's in his late 20s. I have no idea.
He's one of those guys who could be in his late 20s or his early 40s, and I'd be none the wiser.
The point of it
is 33.
Okay, so the point is that he's got a weathered looking face that will serve him better once he's in his 40s or his 50s, I think. Because we talk all the time about the actors, you know, we've talked about Timothée Chalamet being, you know, they show you pictures of him in Dune as opposed to now, and he looks different even then, and, you know, what would be classified as a twink death. If there's no twink death to be had, it's only up from here. He'll be fine.
There is a weird mirror image, though, of the backlash that Barry Keoghan has gotten for his appearance and what we just talked about with Henry Cavill's girlfriend, because it's mainly Sabrina Carpenter's fans who drag Barry Keoghan for his looks.
Yeah.
Because he dated Sabrina Carpenter. Like, they feel like they are obligated to date against the guy. Thank you.
Let's go.
Because they feel like he mistreated their idol, so now they are obligated to be his haters forever. And nothing is good enough for Sabrina. So that's really who's sending Barry Keoghan all the hate, is a bunch of teenage girls. And yeah, like, if it bothers you, that's only a human reaction, but you shouldn't tell the entire world how you feel about it. 110%. That's a really unwise move.
All right. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first.
Cringe first? Okay. Make sure
Speaking
I got
of
it
looks
here.
maxing.
Get rid of that one. All right, here we go. If you're listening to the show right now, ladies and gentlemen, on the screen there is a gentleman doing the Gavin Newsom leg cross, and it says reading looks maxing forum posts. Here we go.
A dramatic reading of real questions from Looks Maxing forums. Staring at the sun makes your eyes lighter. What are the ideal skull face measurements? Does penis genetics come from mom or dad? Teeth whitening. Penis whitening? Infraglabular notch. How does sex feel like? Is roids only way to get crazy physique within a...
Oh, come on. That's just rude. You know what they meant.
Year, I'm 14. Should I take steroids at the age of 15? 3 days into HGH at 15 and my legs are hurting. Is it good or bad? Why
Oh my God.
is everyone in the UK subhuman. Maximizing my child's stats. Want to give this kid the absolute best shot.
Okay, I was like, if you don't know what he said my child's stats, not my child's stats, like he's a kid. That's even scarier.
At elite stats from day one. Height is priority number 1, hoping for 6'4 plus. Then frame width, jawline, bone density, etc. What's the full playbook from birth or even prenatal to puberty? Shampoo alternatives? Does anyone else want to be accepted? Does love exist? How do you guys learn to talk to people? What the fuck is this on my eye? It's swollen. I have school in 4 days. And now...
Okay. That was brutal, man.
Oh
boy.
I've never done a deep dive into the looks maxing forums before. Maybe that's something we should
look
do
into.
on the channel. Yeah.
We have got a 20 here from Katie. Says, welcome back, Brett and Mary. Spoiler alert, why was Chapel Roan in the Hannah Montana special? She had nothing to do with Hannah Montana. Yes, Olivia watched it and said it was not good.
It was not good. I saw lots of commentary about it. I didn't watch myself because I knew it was going to be underwhelming. But yeah, it's basically a glorified Call Her Daddy interview.
This is a cute of the day because we need something to cheer us up. This is from Sweet Beats. Says, here's more photos of our Icelandic sheep since Brett thought they were AI'd the first time. Ramsey is laid back, chilling with, is it Zacchaeus? Our wee little man behind him photobombing. Ramsey's sweet but lives up to his name and will ram if you're not watching.
Okay, that's a little scary, but they're cute.
They are very cute.
Yeah.
Those are very cute friends. All right, let's go ahead. We've got more stuff to get into. It feels like this was a lifetime ago, but such is what happens when you're not feeling well. Let's talk about Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's been about a century in internet years since HBO released the first trailer for the Harry Potter series, and it showed us new looks at all of the characters. Unfortunately, we cannot show the trailer because it will nuke our channel. But you've probably already seen it, and there was a new look at our race-swapped Snape, played by Papa Essiadu, and he has just done an interview with the Times of London about all of the backlash to his casting announcement. And he said essentially that the online racists are what fuel him to do what he is passionate about. And he opened up about the death threats that he is constantly receiving on social media, although he has not taken action against any of these people.
I'm going to get weird and crazy at the very beginning of this. I think the craziest thing about this is he said that he read the books but didn't see the movies.
Yeah. He said that
That is wild.
Which you would think kind of proves the point that no one needed a black Snape. Because you can just imagine the characters however you want.
If you want to be as charitable to this whole thing as possible, you could say that you don't need any of this. These trailers, and I'm not even kidding you, they tricked me into thinking that they were better than they are. And I kind of did what you always do on X, which is like you kind of just share your first thoughts. And I was like, look, it looks pretty much the same as the original. Like it's gonna make people pose the question, why do we need this? If it's shot competently, just like the movies, why do we need this? Like, why isn't there some type of advancement? But it isn't an advancement. You know, before we even get into Snape, it's not an advancement because it suffers from all of the same problems that existed in everything else that's being made these days, which is that for the most part, it looks drab. It's dark, it's blue, it's gray, there's no color, there's no joy, none of that. There is some orange color grading to the Great Hall at Hogwarts and some overt orange color grading to Ollivander's face. Everything else looks like they're trying to hide bad CGI, but they built massive sets for this, so I don't know why you would need to do this. And it kind of put people down the rabbit hole beyond just talking about Snape of why does this need to exist? So all of that on top of the fact of what we'll get into, which is that this casting has at least divided some of the audience. It will be a litmus test, at least in my opinion, as to just how online this discussion is.
With the amount of money that Warner Brothers has invested in this show, which even they admit is staggering, they did not have room to take chances like a race swapped Snape, but they did it anyway, and it's backfired. Thankfully, though, race doesn't exist in the new Harry Potter universe because everyone is gray.
Yes, yes, they're all the gray aliens.
The Times headline says, Papa Esidu on his Harry Potter trolls. They say, quit or I'll murder you. Since being cast as Snape in the J.K. Rowling TV series, the star has faced racist abuse. He talks about defying the haters and wanting to make his mom proud. And here is, in its full context, what he had to say about the backlash. They say that this leads us to Harry Potter, HBO's audacious series based on J.K. Rowling's world-conquering novels, which has Esidu stepping into Alan Rickman's shoes as the morally complex Snape for a role that will last 10 years. He says, yes, this is a big commitment. I'll be 45 by the time I finish, and I know my life is going to change in a big way, but I just have to surrender to that.
Before they even get into that, Casey Bloy says it's not one season a year. So I don't know where this 10 years came from.
Every other year.
But
correct?
I don't know. All I said was like, bro, John Lithgow better have some Horcruxes of his own if he wants to live.
Or does that mean they're filming for 10 years and they're going to release it seasons biannually?
I don't know. I mean, maybe for post-production, but I have to believe that it isn't about filming yearly because it's going to take forever to film it because the kids are so young. They're allowed to film 4 hours a day. They spend the rest of the day in school, makeup, wardrobe, stuff. They can be on set, but they can't be filming for more than 4 hours a day, and that's going to go on for a long time.
When Esidu's role was announced last April, the uproar was predictable, with numerous critics claiming that his skin color should preclude the actor from playing a man written as white. The vitriol has left its mark. So here's his full quote. It really matters. The reality is that if I look at Instagram, I'll see somebody saying, I'm going to come to your house and kill you. So while I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be murdered, that could age badly. But yes, while I hope I'll be okay, nobody should have to encounter this for doing their job. Many people put their lives on the line in their work. I'm playing a wizard in Harry Potter, and I'd be lying if I said it doesn't affect me emotionally. The abuse fuels me and makes me more passionate about making this character my own because I think of how I felt as a kid. I would imagine myself at Hogwarts on broomsticks, and the idea that a kid like me can see themselves represented in that world, that's motivation to not be intimidated by someone saying they'd rather I died instead of doing work I'm going to be really proud of.
Let's let's point out again that as I've said endlessly on this show, and people will disagree with me, at least they did on X, never in my life am I going to blame this dude for securing the bag. He got offered the role. People are like, he should turn it down. I'm like, that is great for internet posturing and in some type of weird reverse virtue signal. But in the real world, when you want to make a living and you want to secure your own financial future, I would actually send him for a psych eval. If he turned it down, I would be like, he's clearly insane. It's not moral, it's insanity. This is the fault of the producers who put him in this position.
Yeah, I totally agree, and we cannot fault him for taking the job, of course. And I think that's ridiculous to expect him to forfeit such an opportunity
that would be
because
insane.
of the backlash. But it doesn't help when he weighs in like this.
Yes, this part does not help at all.
Adds more fuel to the fire. So they ask him, couldn't you just stay offline? He says, even if you successfully ignore it, it doesn't mean it's not happening. The issue remains endemic, and anyway, people see stuff and message to ask if I'm okay. They ask him if he has reported any of these death threats, and he says, no, I don't think some 17-year-old boy being put in jail for 2 weeks for threatening to murder me would actually make me feel any better. I think whoever is threatening to murder you should probably go to jail for the good of society, bro. But I guess if your feelings are the number one priority, fine. And then he talks about facing racism during his childhood, going to a rich, privileged school in East London. And they actually took it to such an extreme that they reached out to his school and asked for a statement. Like, this is the level of mental derangement being displayed by journalists, that they reached out to the place where he went to school as a child to get an apology for the racism that he faced from his classmates. Yeah. And they had to say, like, oh, we condemn racism and all discrimination. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Like, what are we even doing? And then they ask him, if you want the job for stability and cash, wouldn't it have been easier to get a role in, say, Star Wars? And
again, first of all, that is insane to think that they don't understand how much of the lottery it is to win a role in either of those franchises. Like, with the amount of people acting, like the one thing I loved about Wonder Man, the show Wonder Man, is it kind of highlights just how much of how soul crushing being an actor can be, because the great majority of them, not even 99%, 99.9999% are never going to make a living. They're never going to call it a career. It's going to be a glorified side project at best, because most don't end up with that level of success. He is already the 0.001% just by getting this role.
Right. And he had a more charitable answer to that question. Correct. Saying the themes that run through Harry Potter are love triumphing over hate, of acceptance, and that's why I'm doing it. And then they got to the issue of J.K. Rowling, and that's when he said that he's never met her, and he has publicly distanced himself from her beliefs about transgenderism, having signed a petition against the UK Supreme Court's definition of biological sex that she was an open advocate for. And that's, where we get into more issues. Andrew Garfield recently did an interview where he admitted he just now has watched the Harry Potter films. And he, then of course has to give the obligatory condemnation of J.K. Rowling. Let's watch this clip.
And like, Daniel is so goddamn good. So pretentious, and honestly, I hadn't watched the Harry Potters until recently.
How'd you know?
No, and he's really good in those Harry Potter movies. Those Harry Potter movies are really good.
They are good.
I really like that.
Unexpected.
Yeah. I know it's like controversial, and like we shouldn't be, putting money in the pocket
of. Stop playing with your hair.
Inhumane legislation right now through that she'll remain nameless, but the soul in the
fact that he used the phrase "she who will remain nameless," meaning that he took from her own words to denigrate her, just proves how powerful she actually is.
It's always a flex. Like, there's no way around it. If you name her or don't name her, she's still winning. And that is why The Verge argued there is no ethical consumption of HBO's Harry Potter series. J.K. Rowling has made it abundantly clear that she will continue using her fortune to harm transgender people. And they go through a bunch of her public advocacy and all of the millions of dollars that she's poured into different organizations that advocate for actual women. And they say there is literally no way that you can watch the Harry Potter series without giving money, to these causes. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you should enjoy different franchises instead. They say that Rowling has been rich enough to pour cash into organizations like this for some time now because she holds primary rights to the Harry Potter property.
Oh, your audio cut out there. Look, the big part of this also is that it is impossible to separate yourself from J.K. Rowling, and she is the last real author, at least from everything that I've seen, that I've read about the way contracts work in Hollywood now. She is that last author who has been able to hold on to the majority rights for everything that she made, right? Now, if you want to see your book turned into a movie, you're signing over the rights to everything right away. You don't have any of the power the studio does.
So they say Rowling, who is currently worth about $1.2 billion, could probably do all of this even if HBO wasn't producing a new Harry Potter series. But because the network is, and it wants to keep the show going for at least a decade, she'll have even more capital at her disposal to impose her retrograde views onto others. Clearly, this doesn't concern HBO's executive leadership, whose primary goals are to boost the company's stock value while taking home outsized paychecks and hefty exit packages of their own. But it is absolutely something that HBO subscribers should be thinking about as Warner Brothers cranks the Harry Potter hype machine up ahead of the show's premiere later this year. HBO does not want you to think about how it is platforming a known bigot and making it easier for her to spread patently hateful, harmful messaging that can endanger people.
Here's the thing. They've been in the J.K. Rowling business for a long time, but one conversation I don't see them having, which is one that they were having for a while back when the sale was going through, they're not talking about how this is going to be a Paramount property very, very soon.
Yeah, that's interesting that people haven't taken that angle yet.
It's this is gonna be David Ellison. Like they're all gonna look at all the Slytherins are gonna be wearing MAGA hats by the end of this. And to my point, if you go watch the trailer, the best casting so far that I can see is the casting of Malfoy, because the kid looks like an absolute elitist dickhead. He does. He looks fantastic. Like the kid looks like he would absolutely make fun of you because you had sneakers that were too old, or that your robes look like they might have been sewn or fixed in some way. Like he will make fun of you. I appreciate that.
I want to draw on this tweet about a lot of the different reasons people are predicting a failure for this show. And it goes beyond just the racism backlash. They say the cast is already fracturing. John Lithgow nearly quit over J.K. Rowling. Nick Frost publicly distanced himself from her views. Essie Adu signed an open letter supporting trans people while playing a character in a show executive produced by Britain's most prominent anti-trans voice. The show is also biannual, not annual. Season 1 arrives Christmas 2026. Deathly Hallows, if they get there, lands around 2040. John Lithgow will be 95, almost guaranteeing that he'll die during filming, much like Richard Harris died at age 72 after just 2 films.
I wonder if they've already got like I guarantee you there's already a backup plan in place.
I mean, what is the backup plan? AI?
No, I guarantee you they've got another actor in mind.
Yeah, but it's like, why make that casting decision in the first place, you know? The story itself is a logistical trap. A black Snape being hung upside down by the Marauders, spending years fighting for blood purity, and then dying for the cause of a white woman he loved. Those scenes cannot be written cleanly anymore. Every choice will generate a fresh, brand new controversy from absolutely every angle of the political sphere. This franchise requires a sustained decade of audience goodwill to function. That goodwill simply does not exist anymore, as her base is now the most vitriolic, toxic abusers, a narrative at some point, if not already, HBO Max will have to address. The 3 child leads have not signed long-term contracts. What happens when they're 18, 19, or 20 with fully formed opinions about the woman whose name is not on the tin? The magic is a dead horse.
So to the point of Snape, and I was trying to explain this to somebody, at least when it comes to this type of entertainment, okay, a bully, like a schoolyard bully, is not the same thing as a racist bully. They are not viewed the same, even underage. Like there isn't even the argument that they were kids, therefore they didn't understand the weight of their actions, because now those discussions are ones that are had by kids. Like the idea of racism and bigotry is a cause that is championed by the youth these days. It's not something you grow up and learn about later. It's something that's championed in your childhood. So the idea of somebody being just a bully is something that you can come back from. You don't come back from being a racist bully. There isn't a path back of redemption, and it completely changes the James Potter story arc in almost every way, beyond just the hanging upside down by the trees, which of course people are phrasing as lynching, which is a bit over the top, obviously. But the point is the visual,
but you can see the connection.
The visual imagery is there, and the other question here is, who is it for? Is it for the Disney audience, which makes their stuff for millennials to bring their kids to, or is it for young people? Well, the way that their hair is and the way that they're dressing them, people are saying it looks like it's being made for Gen Alpha. But the thing is it's not. It's being made for millennials. So there's confusion with the portrayals because it doesn't look like it's being made for millennials. These kids don't look necessarily like this takes place in the 90s, which is when the books are set. There's all sorts of logistical and ideological traps that would be there even without the stuff going on with Snape. And I do want to point this out as well, because I still think that this show, at the very least the first season, is going to do very, very well. If it continues to do well past the first season and we get one every other year, that is a testament to just how powerful J.K. Rowling's creation is. But here's a way of looking at it. The Harry Potter trailer, in its first 48 hours, did 277 million views, which is a crap ton of views. That is now the most watched trailer in HBO history. Spider-Man Brand New Day did 718 million in 24 hours. So, culturally, where are we? Is it as popular as they're saying it is? It's still going to be very, very successful, and it's going to kind of raise the question of just how online this discussion is. But how do you even judge the success anyways? Like, we're not going to get sales numbers. They don't have to report viewership totals if they don't want to. So we won't even really know. The best gauge would be merch. Would be like merch specific for
theme
the
parks.
Yes.
Yeah, it helps keep the IP alive. And there is some worth to that. And then the story argument for making the show, if it's not just a one-to-one remake, is that they're able to cover more ground that the movies didn't get to portray.
Well, they're also covering stuff that's not in the books. So like
and they're also making shit up. So it's like, what are we even doing?
So actually, I've changed my mind on that. Originally, I was like, you've got 4,000 pages of content, and you're going off on side missions. And I'm like, okay, that sounds horrible. But if the idea here is that they want to separate themselves from the movies as much as possible to avoid people falling into the trap of constantly comparing them to the movies, perhaps going off into some side missions isn't the worst idea in the world. I don't know.
I don't see that going well, actually.
Well, I mean, okay, so if you're wondering what they're talking about, they said that there's a scene that was shot of Hermione getting her Hogwarts letter, which is nowhere in the books.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it just seems unnecessary when in theory, the point of making the show is being able to depict everything that they had to cut out of the movies for the sake of time.
A way that they can win back some goodwill, if you were to ask me, more Quidditch, because the movies severely nerfed the Quidditch matches. You got like one a movie, sometimes even less than that as the movies went on. And the Quidditch season, if people who don't know what that is, that's the sport they play in the Harry Potter universe. More of the Quidditch would be great. And reverse the mogging you did of Ron and give him his victories back that were all given to Hermione in the books or in the movies. So they took a lot of the stuff that Ron did that actually made him a hero, and they gave them to Hermione in the movies. Like Ron stepping in front of Harry during when Sirius Black was coming after him in book 3, and Ron's kind of knowledge of chess in the first one, and the stuff about the devil snare. Like, there are things that moments when Ron got to shine where they're like, nope, we're going to give him to Hermione. Give Ron his moments back, and you might win some goodwill from the original audience.
I just immediately lost interest when I saw the gray slop. It's the same thing as everything else that's being made right now.
Here's some. So guys, I did a separate video. I did a separate video on this.
Why spend all of this money and dedicate all of this time and effort to make this? Like, what is this? Why?
Here it is brightened. Wow, I can actually see what's going on now.
What is
like,
the point?
Look how depressing this looks. Like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. When you would watch old episodes of House, when it was a particularly sad episode, they would color grade this way. So, to give you the idea. It used to be
an artistic decision, and now it's the lack of artistic decisions. That's how this happens.
Like, look how much more whimsical this looks.
Right. And I'm just like, what is this because it's a trailer and they haven't finished it? That's what people always say. And then you see the final product and it looks just as depressing as it did in the trailer.
You almost lose Hermione in this shot.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. It's horrendous, and it just proves to you that you have to go back and re-look at it too. Because I originally was like, okay, it looks fine, and then I went and re-looked back at some of the old movies. I'm like, never mind.
It's freaking rope fuel.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today.
All right, so Zendaya and Robert Pattinson are starring together in a rom-com, but it's a dark rom-com, and I'll tell you why. So Zendaya has now been condemned by a parent of a victim of the Columbine massacre. And
do you want to do spoiler alert? Do you want to do a spoiler? I don't know if anybody's
I'll
playing.
give you a
watches.
spoiler alert. I don't know if anybody in the audience is like, you know, just a diehard fan of Zendaya, and you would be, you know, horrified to have the movie spoiled for you. So this is your spoiler warning if you needed one. But I'll tell you why this concerns the parent of a school shooting victim in a second. So this is about a young couple who are about to get married, and they go to a dinner party with their friends and go around the table sharing embarrassing secrets. And Robert Pattinson's character learns something very disturbing about his fiance, played by Zendaya, and it happens to be this shocking twist where she admits that as a teenager, she planned out a school shooting and ended up not going through with it.
Okay, so you need to let me know something right here. Am I just cooked where I was like, that doesn't seem all that controversial?
No, I agree with you. I was shocked that it even caused this level of controversy or prompted any sort of discussion at all.
My first thought was like, I was like, wait, are they doing like an alt history where she's supposed to be like the third member in Columbine? Like, that's what I thought. I was like, that would have been, that could have been controversial.
It has zero relevance to any real world events, and there is no violence depicted in the movie either. It's just, this is the kicking off point for Robert Pattinson's character questioning whether they should get married, because he's like, who have I ended up with? What is her character really? How did I not know this about her? This dark secret. So they reported this in TMZ. This was an exclusive from TMZ. Zendaya's dark rom-com isn't in theaters until next week, and its shocking twist already is being denounced by someone connected to a related tragedy. It's not a related tragedy, by the way. Just wanted to add that. Here's the deal. The A24 flick starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson is being marketed as a fun wedding flick, but a dark plot twist is shocking the hell out of early unsuspecting viewers, and the news has spread. Tom Mauser, whose son Daniel was murdered in the 1999 Columbine High School massacre, tells TMZ that he is disgusted the movie's twist is Zendaya's character confessing to her fiancé that she planned a school shooting, but got cold feet at the last moment. Mauser, an outspoken gun reform activist ever since his son was murdered, says that he is completely floored that anyone would think a school shooting would be a good fit for a romantic comedy, even a dark one, and tells us it's awful that of all the shocking twists to make someone rethink their partner, this is where the filmmakers landed. Tom Mauser tells us he was particularly irked by Zendaya recently on Jimmy Kimmel Live, where he thought she was laughing off the twist, as Jimmy Kimmel seemed to be taking how it would impact some viewers much more seriously. Now, I watched that Jimmy Kimmel interview before the show, and I didn't detect any sort of reaction like that she thinks it's a laughing matter, but whatever. Mauser feels the subject in a rom-com starring a beloved actress like Zendaya humanizes school shooters and normalizes shootings. To reiterate, her character did not go through with it, and mass violence is not depicted in the film. To be clear, Mauser doesn't think anyone who has ever considered violence but not gone through with it should be condemned. On the contrary, he encourages anyone who has had these ideations to talk it out with a therapist. However, he doesn't want it to be used for entertainment. And they reached out to A24 for a comment and got no word back, shockingly.
It's just, that's not how the art works, unfortunately. You can't control what people, you can be offended by it, you can think that it's in poor taste, but that's just not the way the world works.
If we take this moral outrage at face value and take it to its logical conclusion, we would only have movies about puppies, rainbows, and cupcakes.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the fact, like, look, you yourself have strong religious convictions, but how often does Hollywood poke fun at Christianity or Catholicism in particular? Right? Like, it happens all the time. And how were those people that didn't like it portrayed in the, I mean, I was joking with you one day. I said, like, I think you'd be great for the Parents Television Council because you'd never heard of it because it was kind of a product of the 90s. But people didn't look kindly at that side of the culture, right? Because they felt like you were trying to, like, they were trying to censor people for their for their creations and stuff like that. You're never going to win people over this way, especially not with an example like this where it's not like they were showing egregious violence. This is one of the most tepid things I've ever read.
Yeah, Mike Harlow said, having something tragic happen to you doesn't mean that you're elected to be the art police and get to dictate what is appropriate in movies and what isn't. To me, this did a disservice to the movie because it convinced me that it was boring before I even saw it. Yeah. Like, it's the most underwhelming plot twist I've ever heard. The plot twist from all of the marketing I've seen so far, I thought was going to be that she actually killed somebody, like in a hit and run or something.
Yeah.
And she was expecting, her fiance in the movie to help her keep a secret from the law.
Yeah.
Like, this is just convincing me that the movie is way more boring than anyone thought, and now a bunch of people aren't going to watch it.
Plus, it's A24, so that's the real offensive part of this, is that it's an A24 movie, and there's nothing more offensive than A24.
So there is a supporting actress in the drama named Alana Haim who has recently done an interview about, like, touching on this theme without getting into spoilers. And she plays a friend at the dinner party who is the most shocked, horrified, scandalized, and offended of them all at Zendaya's character's confession. Mm-hmm. And she goes on and on in this tirade of she's just verbally berating Zendaya's character once this information is revealed in the movie. And she says of her character, "I'm the baby of the family. I didn't have room to scream or have an opinion. To have those 34 years of bottled up emotion, it definitely came out. Unfortunately, it came out on the sweetest person that has ever lived in Zendaya. She had to really take my wrath, but it was cathartic." And this is what she hopes will come out of the film. She said, "I saw it with some of my friends. We got an early screening, and it was really crazy the amount of discussion that happened after the movie. There are going to be very hard discussions, or very funny discussions, or very sad discussions. It kind of runs the gamut of emotion with this movie, and I think that without this movie, a lot of people wouldn't be talking about those things, which is why you make art." So she thinks that the merit of this supposed rom-com is that people are going to walk away from it having really deep talks about school shootings.
I have never... and I said this last night, never in my life have I ever gone to a movie in hopes that when I got done, I can have a really serious discussion about something, especially not if it's being advertised that way. There are shows and movies, oftentimes by accident, that have caused me to want to talk about something, that might be a difficult discussion. But I'm never like, I don't go into any movie like, I hope this movie really gets me thinking about this.
I don't totally agree. I don't want to see a movie that is intended to doubly serve as a think piece on a social issue. Mm-hmm. But I do want to see movies that make me think, and I do want to see movies with other people so that we can discuss them. Yeah, like, I don't inherently take issue with the idea that people are going to want to discuss the themes of a movie, but like it's a rom-com, like, pick a lane.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like in an age where everybody is bemoaning the loss of the rom-com, this is one that people got really excited about at first before they knew the content of the plot. And then they learned about it, and they've been convinced not to buy a ticket.
You cannot make the straight down the middle rom-com anymore because of gender politics. You got two choices. Yeah. You can do the Columbine rom-com, or you can do the old lady, young guy rom-com. Those are your choices. Deal with it. You can cast Nicole Kidman, or you can cast school shooters. That's it. That's all you got.
It's just like, where's the fun, innocent stuff anymore?
Sydney Sweeney. You know? That's where the fun, innocent stuff is, apparently.
I feel like Anyone But You was kind of the last rom-com in recent memory that didn't have a twist. They're like, oh, we have a rom-com. It's a rom-com with a twist.
Yeah.
How about no twist? Because the genre speaks for itself. It's supposed to be romantic and funny. That's it. We don't want anything dark in a rom-com. That's so unnecessary.
You know why that is, right? It's because these people denigrate the idea of love and marriage and family. So how can you even do that when the end goal of a relationship, which is supposed to be to get married and have kids, is not even a priority? Like, they can't tell those stories because they don't actually see any joy in those stories. I also saw somebody tag me in something about the creator of this movie being a Zionist, and I literally just like put my head in my hands and was like, I was, let me out of here. I don't care. I don't care if she's, I don't care if she was a member of Mossad. I don't care if she was a member of Hamas. Please leave me alone.
Oh my gosh. It's all so tiresome.
It is.
And I will say, for Zendaya's part, she has done as good of a job as she possibly could marketing this movie, especially with the timing of her own real life wedding. Mm-hmm. She's kind of used it as an angle to promote the new film while keeping the details of her real private wedding private. I think that's a genius move. She has kept an air of mystery around herself and her relationship with Tom Holland. There are no pictures that have gotten out of their wedding, which is astonishing in this age. Like, how is that even possible?
How did nobody show up there with like the Ray-Ban meta glasses to like secretly film it?
How did no one sell these photos for a fortune to the next available outlet? I find it impressive. But yeah, it's just not selling me on the idea of actually seeing the movie.
Look, I'm telling you,
everything
right now,
I've learned about it so far has been against my will.
Hollywood is going to make the Mossad honeypot falls in love with a Hamas terrorist, and that's going to be the next rom-com.
And it's starring Gal Gadot.
And it's starring Gal Gadot as the IDF soldier, and I don't even know who could be the other one. Kumail Nanjiani.
It might get racist real quick if we start fan casting that.
Well, we'll have to make it. All right. Let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into. Let's talk about Magic Wand Girl. Yes, Magic Wand Girl. We just got a crisis party, so do you want to wait for it to go through?
Yeah, it might be hard to.
I could tell everybody about Scream Queens. I did finish Scream Queens. Ladies and gentlemen,
exciting.
I would like everybody to know that I would consider Scream Queens. There we go. I consider Scream Queens Season 1 a recommend. I think that the whole show is one of the funnier things that I've ever seen in my entire life. The humor itself, I'll be completely honest, it can get a bit repetitive. So the idea that like everybody's awful to each other, which is basically the premise of the show, which is that every character except for Zayday and I forget Grace or whatever the other character's name, they're the only not awful human beings in the whole show, and consequently it makes them the least interesting characters in the entire show, which shows you why Hollywood would be better if they could have let 2015 Ryan Murphy write everything as opposed to 2026 Ryan Murphy writing anything. And it is funny that for the most part, Hester blames the system. It's society's fault that she is the way that she is, which is an interesting bit of social commentary there as well. And Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Professor Munch, also talks a lot about political correctness at the college. And it's very interesting. I would consider Scream Queens season 1 worth watching, though I couldn't binge it because everybody's so awful that I could only watch it in like 2-episode bursts. But I will tell you
you
this.
have to like microdose the snark.
The best part of the whole thing was I'm not even kidding you, was Chad Michael Murray showing up for like 10 minutes, and it was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I thought your favorite part of the show was going to be Glenn Powell's.
He's in it less as the show goes on.
Yeah,
I mean,
he doesn't have a significant part.
He is one of the best parts, and also his conclusion with the Denise lady felt like they wrote it at the last minute, and they didn't know how to round out his character arc. Also, the police chief lady, she was also like the second funniest character in the whole show. Totally worth a watch.
You know what? I didn't expect you to ever watch Scream Queens, so I was going to be happy with the outcome no matter what. Yep. But I really didn't expect you to find so much depth in the show.
There is a lot there. I did find I guess maybe it's because I really liked one of the adaptations that I think was actually really good and didn't get a lot of credit was the Scream television series adaptation, which I loved the first season of. But of course, you're kind of cheated out of like a Red Devil reveal at the end because it's staggered throughout the show because it's more complicated than that. But you know, it was good. I wish they could have gotten more of Nick Jonas and Ariana Grande though, but they probably couldn't afford them even back in they were expensive back in 2015. So
well, okay, when we were absent, I did see Project Hail Mary, and maybe if we have some time during the super chat segment, I can give my mini review.
All right, let's move on. We've got more. Oh, by the way, actually, really quick, we have a crisis party here. Really quick, because
for the memberships?
Yep, Drummer has gifted 20 PCC memberships. Thank you so much. We're gonna get that right now. I'm like, my voice is screwed tomorrow. I can already tell.
Yeah, it's not sounding very strong.
We're gonna make it work. Thank you guys.
Thank you. You're just like wheezing in the background. Stay strong.
Yep.
Brett.
All right, let's move on.
Well, let's wait until. Are the lights still going, or is everything?
You can go ahead and start.
All right, we're gonna end the show with something a little more silly. So, a massive controversy erupted on X last week because an influencer shared what her boyfriend gifted her for her birthday, a shopping spree with a special accessory. And it's becoming more and more popular lately. These are toy magic wands with a little star on the end and a bow on top that you can place a credit card inside. So when you want to scan the chip in the card, you just take your magic wand and tap it on the screen, and it feels all very whimsical and playful.
Here's the thing,
childish.
There is a guy's version of this. I was telling you about this earlier. I saw it like last night. It's literally a middle finger on a stick, so it looks like the middle finger is flipping off.
Similar designs.
This is one of those topics where I couldn't even be bothered to look at why people were. You had to explain it to me because like I saw the post about it, and I could have swore this was old. Like I could have swore I've seen this story before, or at the very least, I had seen Instagram skits of like women, wearing like maybe first person camera or something, doing this at stores to like capture the reactions of the audience. But it really does prove that anything can make people angry.
Yeah, this was interpreted in the worst ways possible. But let me start with Sarah's original post. She said, "Guys, my boyfriend put his credit card in a magic wand and took me on a shopping spree for my birthday." And I just want to show a picture of Sarah on her birthday holding up her magic wand in an outfit, for those listening, I would describe as costumey and perhaps a little bit infantile, but it depends on who you ask if she is dressed up like a little girl. She is also wearing a tiara on her head. which is common for birthdays. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily taking it to the level of full-on role play in public. But someone responded to this saying, "Are you 5 years old / intellectually deficient?" And Sarah responded saying, "He saw it on TikTok and thought it was a cute, fun idea. Sorry for offending you, LMAO." And by the way, Sarah has now completely deleted her account because of the amount of backlash that she's gotten over this tweet. And another comment added, "Both of you are insufferable. I hope you both go to the same level of hell, although your ugly ass boyfriend probably has it worse considering what is probably on his hard drive." So they're implying not only is she the villain for infantilizing herself, her boyfriend is a closeted PDF file because he gave her a credit card in a toy wand.
This is
everyone okay? Are women okay?
But here's the thing: the internet. This is why we weren't designed for the internet. You know who this story is supposed to be for? For your girlfriends when you're out at brunch and you tell them this story, and maybe they think it's weird, but they say, "Oh, that's cute," because they're your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
If they have any
their
second
tongue
thoughts, they're not going to share them.
because they like you more than they dislike this stupid thing or whatever, right? We as human beings were not designed to constantly share the most whimsical aspects of our personality with people that we don't know, because the people that you don't know don't have any connection to you. They don't care.
Right. I mean, personally, when I saw that photo of a grown woman holding up a toy wand wearing a tiara, yeah, I found it cringy. I did.
But again, if you were her friend, you might keep it to yourself because she's a human being to you. So you're like, you know what? If it made her happy, I guess. And I kind of made the joke before the stream. I said, is this one of those let people enjoy things moments?
Yeah, and we all know that I hate those
letting people enjoy things.
Moments. Like I'm never the one to let anyone enjoy anything, but I'm certainly not going to baselessly accuse her boyfriend, a stranger online, of being a PDF file over something like this. It's just something cringy that she probably shouldn't have shared with the internet. And by the way, you always have the choice not to share. And I think anything that actually matters to you, your relationship most of all, if it matters to you, it shouldn't be shared with the world.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that's just inherent to showing that you value something is not sharing it with everybody else.
You're inviting in a bunch of opinions and stuff that will do you no good. Like, on one hand, they might say, "Oh, that's great," but that means nothing because it's just a bunch of seal clapping. Or they're going to pick apart what you have to say, and you're just introducing elements to your relationship that don't need to be there.
And I'll explain, by the way, why I find it cringy, since she did share it and invited people to have opinions. Yes, I do think that it is childish to dress up like that and wave around a toy wand and make a huge show of spending your boyfriend's money. Because he could have easily taken her on a shopping spree and given her gifts or whatever, without doing some sort of weird show and parading around like this and being so conspicuous about it. I think it's a little bit low taste level. That's all that was my conclusion about it. I didn't think it was creepy or fetishistic or anything like that. I just thought it was a little bit tacky.
Yes. Well, that's a terminally online take. Whoever said that is terminally online.
And probably a femcel as well. Like, probably harboring a little bit of jealousy, I think, for a woman who's in a happy relationship. Yeah. And another response said, "Not gonna lie, if I were the cashier, I would think she's special needs." It's childish.
My point was that just the act of documenting it proves that they're not, though, or that they're not special needs. Like, this actually, we are at a point now in society where this would be weirder if they weren't documenting it for clout. Clout goblin actually makes you less weird because everybody seems to be out for clout. So if you just saw this lady out doing this just for the love of the game, that's weird. This is just clout chasing, which is the most normal thing in society in 2026.
Which is unfortunate, but true. Now, following this massive shitstorm of backlash that Sarah received, she decided to conduct an interview with Evie Magazine about her decision to share this with the internet. And they say Sarah DeLue's boyfriend made her a handmade magic wand with a credit card inside for her birthday, which in 2026 is apparently grounds for a public execution. What is it about seeing someone else's happiness that makes the internet lose its collective mind? If you have been on X or TikTok lately, you've likely seen the latest victim of the digital outrage cycle, a blonde girl, her pink magic wand, and a birthday shopping spree. Sounds terrible, right? Some people on the internet thought so. If you haven't heard about it, allow me to fill you in on this discourse. So they go through the post and everything, and one other comment said, "Odd, unless you have trauma from childhood and professionals have recommended that you age regress."
Oh, boy.
Despite the criticism that Sarah got, the vitriol didn't land the way trolls intended. When I reached out to her, she wasn't defensive or angry, instead remarkably grounded and kind. I think that says a lot about her. She said, "I think in a world with so much criticism towards women, it's truly important to know who you are. I've received endless negative commentary over a birthday gift, but it ended up being a beautiful moment when I realized none of it affected me the way you'd think it did. There is nothing a stranger can say that will upset me because I know exactly who I am as a person."
Didn't she delete her profile?
She did delete her profile promptly after the interview.
Maybe she's not lying, but she's got a little bit of cognitive dissonance there.
Yeah. She says the responses on X surprised her as the reactions that she got in person were all positive. The difference was staggering. Every single cashier was obsessed, saying they had seen the trend and they were going to tell their significant other they wanted this as a gift too. At one point, an older lady stopped us to say how obsessed she was with my outfit. We chatted with her. She loved my boots and jacket, was inspired by the idea. Even when I posted on TikTok and Instagram, the responses were positive and endearing. Her guess is that the hate stems from X's algorithm, which seems to promote outrage over positive content. For whatever reason, critics cannot comprehend that adults can have fun and like cute things. We've reached a point in digital culture where any expression of joy that feels uncool or childlike is immediately pathologized. If you aren't posting about your trauma, burnout, or latest beige flag about your partner, you're somehow doing it wrong. The biggest harm Sarah did, if you ask me, was accidentally holding up a mirror to a generation that has forgotten how to have harmless, uncurated fun. Okay, so to say that anything about this is uncurated is deeply dishonest.
It's not about whether it's not about whether you can live with the critiques. It's about whether you can live without the good stuff, without the people saying nice things about it. If you were okay with both, then fine. But let's be real here. You want the positive and you don't want the backlash, but that's just the internet. And that's the way it's always going to be.
There is a reason she posted this to all of her social media platforms. Yep. She wanted to get clout off of it. It was a curated social media attention grab, and it worked because she got strong negative reactions. Let's not pretend that she didn't have an inkling that would happen. Let's not pretend that this is a totally organic, beautiful moment between a couple just having a nice day together. If it were that, none of us would know it happened.
Yes.
None of us would be aware.
There's a 20 here from Not That Jon Stewart. It says, "I'm about 25 minutes behind live. Speaking of color grading on HBO, I watched Weapons on my phone, and even with my screen brightness cranked up all the way, there were scenes I couldn't almost tell what was happening. annoying. Yes. Well, that makes more sense for like a horror or thriller movie than it does the whimsical world of Harry Potter. And you can't even make the argument like, look, that became more commonplace as the movies went on because the Harry Potter movie or like books become more serious as the books go on. So it makes more sense that if Voldemort is back and the wizarding world sucks now, it makes more sense if everything's gray and dark. But that's not what the world was in the first book, so there's no reason it should look that way.
Yeah, it's just gonna look drab all the way through.
Everybody just wants to have all of the good stuff and none of the bad stuff.
I don't know what the point is of posting any of it. It doesn't make sense to me. If I don't understand the impulse to disclose either the good or the bad of your relationship if it's a relationship that really matters to you. I just don't get it. I never will. Like it is inherently going to cheapen the value of your relationship or anything else really that's worth having.
Mm-hmm.
Is sharing it and inviting responses from strangers who have no idea who you are.
Yeah. Like
and I think it's a form of immodesty.
Expand. What do you mean?
Like, I think that there's a type of immodesty where, you post pictures of your ass on Instagram. That's immodest, right? But there's a lot more emotional immodesty taking place on the timeline than just showing skin. People are bearing their souls, their private relationships, their most intimate moments with the internet, and it's incredibly immodest.
Yeah.
I think that's not just dishonest to claim that it's uncurated and organic, but it's also just inherently inappropriate because we're being invited into an area of your life that shouldn't have anything to do with us.
Yeah, imagine this guy is like, look, I was just trying to do something nice for you and now they're calling me a PDF file.
This is like, yeah, isn't this any man's worst nightmare, by the way? I mean, just that picture of her alone speaks 1,000 words. Like, I don't really think that this is attractive to act like this as a grown-ass woman and also display it all over social media. It's not childlike, it's childish.
Okay.
There's a big difference.
All right, let's go to Super Chats then.
Okay. Burned Oil said, Mary, that 9/11 punchline was great on the internet show. Sadly, I forget what punchline you're talking about, so I can't even defend myself. Hopefully I didn't say anything too heinous, but yeah. Might go watch that later.
I thought that said 911 punchline. Like there's another.
I think it was about 9/11,
okay.
probably.
Well, that makes more sense.
If I recall correctly. Yeah. Maybe not my proudest moment. Craig Duvier said Chuck Norris didn't die. He went to train St. Michael on how to roundhouse kick the devil for when Armageddon comes.
Yeah, one of the things that I missed out on being able to talk about because of my bronchitis was the difference in response from sites like Variety about the death of Chuck Norris versus the death of Nicholas Brendan, who played Xander in Buffy. It's a bummer. I would have liked to have talked about that. Maybe it'd be worth making a video again at some point, but it's kind of hard at this point. But Nicholas Brendan did great on Buffy. He's a great actor. Had a very troubled, kind of, a sad life post Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He still worked and stuff like that. But he seemed to be a very well-loved person who was also very, very troubled. And you saw none of the discussions about his legal issues in any of the write-ups that I saw, at least the ones that made their way to X. Yet somehow Chuck Norris's politics were front and center for a Variety article about how that might affect his legacy. To which I say, kick rocks.
What?
Well, it was like Chuck.
That's not even true.
I mean, Chuck Norris was an open conservative, and
yeah, of course, but that's not going to affect his legacy.
I mean, that's the point, right? Is the article was bullshit, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's gross.
It's
but what do we
like
expect?
and here's the thing. I'm still annoyed that like I wouldn't have done that up in the Rob Reiner write-ups either, right? I'm still annoyed at the way Trump responded to Rob Reiner and who was the one who died recently? Was it who was it that died recently? Not Flynn. But the point being is like I get it. These people tried to ruin your life, but I'm looking for at least a modicum of decorum. And if conservative outlets were writing, and I don't know if they did, maybe I could go back and look at Breitbart, but they should not be writing like Rob Reiner, whose legacy will be overshadowed by his Trump derangement syndrome. Not the time, not the place.
Yeah, I agree. It just was crazy how like last week had to be so jam-packed with news that we would have covered.
I'm sorry, yeah, Robert
and
Mueller. Robert Mueller was the one who died.
It was like the Buffy stuff, the Chapel Roan stuff.
I still
Harry
think we
Potter
could do the
stuff,
we could
the
still
Lord
do
of
the
Rings
Chapel
stuff.
We could still do the Chapel Roan stuff because half the time when we do a Chapel Roan topic, they're like, they still do it. What's a Chapel Roan? And she is making it harder for me. Though the memes that have come out of it have been absolutely just magnificent. The one where the lady's she's out to lunch and she goes, "Oh, I just saw Chapel Roan. I'm gonna go say hi." And she comes back and she's got a black eye.
Yeah, it might still be worth talking about this week.
I love that she like whenever she has to make some response video, she has to pretend like she's half asleep.
Yeah, what is that? Like, oh, I have to make an apology video. Let me take off all my makeup, but not all the way.
Like,
I have to take off 90% of my makeup, but leave some streaks of mascara on my face so I seem unkempt.
Yeah, like I get that like people they're like upset that I'm like, that I want to be a private person. Like I just don't get it. Like you wouldn't go and confront like a normal person. Like you wouldn't go confront a poor person, would you? Like also like now they're financially purity testing her, saying that she's actually the granddaughter of a rich person, so they're mad at her about that.
Yeah.
So
well, she actually is lying about her childhood.
She's
her
wearing she's wearing poor face.
She claimed many times to like growing up in a trailer park, which is objectively not true, and people did uncover that, so maybe that's something else that we should touch on when we get to it. Greg Duvier said Chuck Norris does not use spell check. If he happens to misspell a word, Oxford will change the spelling. One time Chuck Norris farted in California. That place is now known as Death Valley. He will be missed. Shane H. Wilder said, I was so bored without y'all, I actually had to test out my new camera gear on a short about the adventures of young Michael J. Knowles and his brothers Matt Frad and Matt Walsh instead of a PCC one. Don't forget about us again.
Yes.
That was a dark time. Burned Oil said, the buzzing in Brett's voice makes him sound manly.
See, that's now
Brett
if I could keep this voice all the time, that would be great. But the problem is, the more I use
without the pain,
it hurts. The more I use it. We also have a chat here from Corey Anderson. It's not a super chat, but it's member for a month. It says, I require proof Brett was actually sick. I think he was just on vacation. See, I was about to get real angry, and then I remembered what we said, which is that you can't let people see you get angry. Otherwise, they're going to know that that's what you got to attack.
You can't show your
weakness.
Boston said $2 for the correct Mary Deus vault. Glad you're both okay. Thank you very much. We're good as new, almost. Corey Anderson said, do membership super chats count towards the crisis meter?
I can't tell. I don't think that I don't know how membership super chats work. Like, are you allowed like a specific amount after you reach a specific time? I'll have to look into that. But given that it's part of a spreadsheet that's just super chats, I don't think it does.
Greg Duvier said, read my rant from Fire Hazard. Tube didn't like it.
I'll check. We'll do Rumble at the end.
Okay. Pop Culture Junkie said,
I think we got that one. Do you see the Rumble, or I'm sorry, do you see the YouTube membership chats like the one here from Olivia? I don't know if it shows up on yours. spreadsheet.
Did it
over
just
there.
come in?
No. It's from earlier.
Then no.
It says I don't think that you're seeing the Rumble or the membership chats.
Okay.
But from Olivia Dasovic, I don't know who that is, but she sounds great. Love her. Says shout out Katie in the chat who had a baby while y'all were away. New baby girl, crisis actor. Let's go.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Awesome news.
And then we have another one here from Glitches. Says, yo, PCC, welcome back. Don't ever get sick again. We'll work on it.
We absolutely promise to never get sick ever again.
I'm not going to lie. When I saw somebody left a chat at the beginning of when the waiting room went up that says, oh, so this channel is not done. It just realized, you know, the Ryan Reynolds, the stuff from Deadpool, till you're 90. It's just, you never, you just know you don't get any time off ever. You just keep going.
It didn't really feel like time off though, to be honest, guys.
No, especially says for the first week of it, I got 1 hour of sleep a night because I was literally coughing the whole night. So I'd get a cumulative of maybe an hour to an hour and 20 minutes for the first 4 or 5 days per night. So I was basically hallucinating and felt like shit the whole time. And then towards the end of the week last week, was still coughing a little bit. And my voice was starting to come back, but I still would have been coughing throughout the whole show. I think the last 2 nights have been the only nights where I haven't coughed myself to sleep. So
there was a day last week where I literally slept the entire day. Oof. And then on my couch. And then I just moved over to my bed and slept the entire night. And it was great.
It's a beautiful thing.
Moon at Noon said, glad you're finally back. You too, Mary. Thanks for the warm welcome. Okay, username I am definitely not going to read. Said, I blame Bob Dylan for Brett being sick.
Well, yeah, if my voice gets any worse, I could start making stupid warbling poems that are supposed to count as music, but are really just a big barrel of suck.
If all else fails, blame Bob Dylan.
Exactly.
Corey Anderson said she is a normal, attractive woman.
That came in during the Henry Cavill.
Yeah, and Henry Cavill is a normal, attractive man, so I think they're a looks match. Fight me. Corey Anderson said, but loyalty is more important than looks?
Well, I can't pass comment on what their loyalty status is, so...
For all we know, they're both total, irredeemable philanderers, okay? I have no idea what's going on in the Cavill household. My one issue, though, is that he simply refuses to marry this woman, even after having a child together. I just think that's trashy, and they should fix that.
Yep.
Robert Delara said, welcome back, Mary and Brett. Natalie Viscuso is a good-looking woman. Just because someone writes something doesn't make it so. I wholly agree. Corey Anderson said, Mary, Kyle and your ad reads are hilarious. Oh, Kyler, you meant. Yeah. It's not Kyle, guys. It's Kyler.
That's got to be...
Common mistake.
It's got to be annoying the older you
sure
are.
A lot of people over the years, I'm sure, have called him both Kyle and Tyler, but no, his name is Kyler.
It's anybody who's named Brent should be not offended when they call them Brett. They should just change their name and do the right thing.
And by the way, guys, there are more episodes of a internet show still coming out, and I've heard good things. I heard positive feedback so far, so I'm sure you would all like it. Easy E said, the nerd in me really wants Henry to come out and say he's dating her because they met at a Warhammer tournament. That would be a big win for us nerds. I'm guessing they met probably through the industry, since she's a film producer, but yeah. I mean, who are we to say? Corey Anderson said, I meant Kyler, effing autocorrect.
There you go.
Understandable.
Pat the Plumber, member for a month, says, ooh, 1 month message. I feel special. Well, thank you. You are special.
Thank you for joining. Shane H. Wilder said, random paparazzi can always make someone look unattractive. Heck, you freeze any live stream and you can get anyone looking awkward as well. Yep. Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
Yep.
Pat the Plumber said, this lady is just as good looking as Lois Lane, so this dude should go back to the Quickie Mart and mind his business. Yeah, I don't really want to see posts from India anymore. If there were a toggle where
Isn't
I
that
could just
a thing
turn
now?
off posts from India.
You can do that now, can't you? You can turn off
How
stuff
do you
from
do it?
specific countries. Somebody in the chat, let them know. I think you can. You can turn off like regions.
I don't know. Let me check here.
Chat,
Let me
am I crazy about that? I could have swore I just saw stuff that you can turn off stuff from whole continents.
Uh-oh, Sophie Turner is injured and
Yep.
she's pausing production of the Tomb Raider series.
Lara Croft wouldn't get injured. This one here is from Jonathan McDowell. Says, how dare you guys give me separation anxiety for a week? JK. I'm glad you're done sick maxing and are feeling better, Brett. Just miss you guys a ton. All love. Thank you so much.
Thank you for some positivity.
We appreciate it.
Corey Anderson said, when the diary goes missing in the second season, is Harry going to blame Snape?
Yep. Also, they
Brings up a
pointed
lot of
out
questions.
that when Neville has to be afraid of the thing in the wardrobe, it's going to be a Snape that jumps out at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, can we use AI to change Black Snape's color?
You could.
Yeah.
Okay, I also saw, it's so crazy. So I was seeing people having these discussions. It was connected to this and to the Drewski skit about Erica Kirk, where I saw some people actually try to pass along the idea, I'm not even kidding you, where they said, oh, blackface would have been okay as long as it would have been a real person that they were pretending to be, as opposed to just, yeah, they're like, that's why nobody was mad about Jimmy Kimmel as Karl Malone, because he was playing a real person. And I said, you are insane if you think that in the year 2026 they would be okay with it just because they were pretending to be a real person.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
I mean, it was Cope and
Absolutely not true. Yeah. The Drewski skit did kind of gross me out, though. I was not a fan.
For like just because of it, Erica Kirk being a widow, or for other reasons?
I just think it's mean-spirited and not funny for that reason.
Look, it is
also very
mean-spirited.
politically motivated, and
it is mean-spirited. I'm of for the most opinion is like, because she is now the head of a major political movement in a corporation, leaving out all the Candace Owens stuff, that she's going to be faced with criticism. And the other thing that was worse, I think, was they lied and said that she sent him some cease and desist, which wasn't real. That was more
the
offensive.
AI screenshots.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
After the skit came out, were crazy. They were everywhere.
Unfortunately, she is going to, as the head of Turning Point USA now, she is going to be a public figure that's going to face scrutiny and humor and all of this stuff. And does that suck? Yeah, I guess. But that's what she's chosen to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to police the humor, but the lie, the blatant lie with the screenshot, because the way I tend to judge things now is like, if it makes it over to Instagram, because my Instagram feed is very different from my X feed. And I saw people posting like, oh, I knew she was going to do this on Instagram. And I'm like, these people don't know that this is bullshit. You know that they didn't go and fact check this.
Yeah.
It's not true. That shit was gross. But that wasn't Drewski's fault, because Drewski didn't post it, even if his stuff is in poor taste.
It sort of reminded me of the first whiteface skit that he did, where the entire
NASCAR,
discourse around that one was that, oh, white people are so offended, stop getting triggered, you're so soft, haha. But like, I looked around, I tried to find a single white person who was offended by that skit. I couldn't find one.
I'm still like, look, as long as Instagram is full of people making jokes about George Floyd, I guess I'm just, whatever. I'm not offended by the skit, and I think that her choice to enter the public, as the head of a company, means that she's going to be open to it. But the lies are far worse. The lies about her suing him.
Yeah. Corey Anderson said, is Snape going to try to rap battle Harry instead of curse him? Maybe rap his potion lessons. Is Snape going to sag his wizard robes?
The Black Snape music video is, it's You should go watch it. I don't know if we can show it on here, but it's good.
Corey Anderson says Snape will be the first wizard to wear Jordans. Will Snape accuse Quirrell of cultural appropriation for wearing a turban? Will Snape be a hypocrite for owning a house elf?
The other question.
There's so many questions and no answers to any of them, Corey.
You know one thing that we haven't. I don't remember. Were there any Gringotts goblins in the trailer? Is there going to be the discussion about how it's anti-Semitic to make the goblins with the noses the head of the bank? That's the real question. I'm taking on the niche. I'm taking on the niche socio-political discussions for this trailer or for this movie.
Is David Ellison going to stand for that?
He's like in season 1 it is, but then in season 2, once Paramount's in control, it's suspiciously different.
Somehow the goblins they disappeared. Shane H. Wilder said, did the interview just say that it is unexpected that the multi-million-dollar Harry Potter film franchise based on the best-selling books is good?
It did say that. Yeah, that interviewer did say that.
That was an odd thing to say. Winterfire said, forever thankful Walking Dead being cast in 2008. Well, they kind of ruined that too, because as the years went on, they had to increasingly, shoehorn diversity into the show, and you ended up there was an obese hijabi woman in The Walking Dead, like in a late season, and I'm supposed to believe that this chick actually survived for like a decade post-apocalypse and remained obese and Muslim. Okay, sure. Corey Anderson said, will Snape teach the kids to make scissor and potions? Will all broomsticks need to be locked up now? Will Snape smoke Newports for authenticity?
Why you guys gotta be so rude?
Will Snape ask Professor Sprout to grow watermelon?
We have I don't have the
answers you're looking for.
We got a $50 super chat here from Glitches. It says, guys, I want to share something. I'd been atheist all my life. In my youth, I even hated the church. But this Saturday, I'll be baptized Catholic. It's been a hard but incredible time. Charlie led me here, but Mary, you have also played a part.
Well, that's incredible news.
Can you see that one at the bottom? It says Gloria Deo. I'm assuming that's Latin.
I don't see it yet.
Okay. Also,
Gloria Deo. Yes.
Okay. Roma Nation gifted 5 channel memberships. Thank you, Roma.
Where was I? Easy E said, it does humor me how people are so angry with JK but can't stop paying her royalties. Other better written magical fantasy stories already exist, but they can't move on because they can't grow up. Well, I mean, what other magical fantasy stories have come out post Harry Potter that are better than Harry Potter? Like, I can't think of anything. Robert Delara said, if John Lithgow wants to quit, let him quit. I would call up Anthony Hopkins and offer him the part. He is 88 years old, but he is a young 88.
My favorite part of that is how they don't look anything alike.
At a certain point, is it gonna feel like elder abuse to keep him working on the show, at 95?
Who's the dude who just turned 100? What's his name?
Oh, is it
Dick Van Dyke?
Yeah.
What's his name is like 95 now. There's a bunch.
It's possible. Yeah. It's possible.
Look, they're gonna have to get, like I said, he's gonna have some Horcruxes of his own if he wants to continue to live through the whole thing. But they'll keep him alive. Or if we want to cross over into DC territory, let's get him in the Lazarus pit so we can keep him looking this age forever.
Shane H. Wilder said, by the time this series is over, the people that grew up with Harry Potter will be on Social Security, like their butterbeer with Fred Music.
Hold, please.
Thank you.
Nobody could understand a word you just said.
Oh, okay.
Because the music.
Sorry. By the time this series is over, the people that grew up with Harry Potter will be on Social Security and spiking their butterbeer with Metamucil. 2040 is a long ways to go. I guess by then, a lot of the millennials that love Harry Potter are actually going to be at retirement age.
Yep.
which is crazy to think about. Jewish AF of Christendom said, Brett, illy, but you sound like Elijah Schaefer, LOL.
Oh, come on, man.
That's not fair.
This is
Come
rude. Why is everybody doing this to me?
Dabob03 said, throw in Mashal Magic and Muscles, the anime parody.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but okay.
An anime parody of Harry Potter, I'm guessing.
Corn Pop joined as a channel member. Thank you, Corn Pop.
Hello.
You're a bad dude.
Thank you for joining, Corn Pop. Shane H. Wilder said, people complain this muddled look is due to being digital and not film. No, it is because they don't do color grading and have no idea what a histogram is.
So I was like looking into it. Like, look, all of CSI Miami was shot digital, okay? And it's bright and it's got colors. It's green and it's yellow and people's faces are totally visible. And this was back in 2005. You're telling me that they can't do 2005 color grading in the year of our Lord 2026. Yes, they can. They just don't want to for some reason. They want you sad and depressed.
Yeah, there are so many examples of movies that were filmed on digital in the 2000s that are vibrant and warm and beautiful to look at.
But it's also
not
like
anything to do with being filmed on digital.
So the other thing about it is it's crazy is like there's also the problem they have with night shooting, which is like there's no shadows. Like literally everything is just perfect. It's just bright at night.
Like this?
Yes. I mean, except for you'd have
like what I've got going on right now.
So in one of the Hallmark movies a series that we're watching, I can literally tell you like when they changed camera rigs because the night shots are like impossibly lit and there's no shadows anywhere.
That was one thing I noticed about Project Hail Mary. It looked good. Like it had some color. It wasn't great, but it had more color and vibrancy.
They did a bunch of practical sets on that.
Yeah, and that was also impressive. Corey Anderson said, I'm surprised David Hogg didn't run to socials when he heard about this twist.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just a huge Zendaya fan, you know? He just couldn't stand on business.
Two sides of himself were battling one another.
Mm-hmm. Boss N said, Mary is a 9.5 out of 10 because no one's perfect. Is check it out with Dr. Stevie Brule or ETC inspiration for your other show. I love the vibe, Deus Vult. I don't think so because I've never heard of those things actually, but I will look into it. Thank you though for enjoying the show. Cleggy said, I thought I was pro school something before I saw the Zendaya movie. It started a powerful conversation. Right. There are going to be a bunch of people going to see the drama.
And they're like, you know what? I used to like think about Columbine and I was like, you know, maybe no, that's not a thing.
It's going to convert millions of people who are pro school shooting.
Like nobody
think that.
Nobody walked out and was like, you know, I used to think Klebold had a point, but now I'm not so sure. Like, that's not a thing.
Shane H. Wilder said, I don't mind discussing a movie because my dad and I would discuss films like The Exorcist and The Deer Hunter when he introduced me to them. But effing rom-coms are not supposed to induce discussion. I think it can.
You can still have a discussion.
But only unintentionally. Yeah, like you said. Shane H. Wilder said, is it cringe? Yes. Does it make me angry? Nah. What angers me is Butterfinger teaming up with Top Ramen for a Butterfinger ramen.
Yeah, these product crossovers have gone too far.
That's gross. Corey Anderson said, just canceled Mary's B-Day present. I don't want to be seen as childish. This is a joke.
I was just thinking about because I saw people like saying happy birthday, Mary Morgan in the chat, and I had to think about it. I'm like, it's not her birthday, right? I know when her birthday is.
I'm confused. Why were they saying that it's my birthday? Don't worry about it. I'm not expecting any birthday presents from any of you. Robert Delara said, an adult woman posting a picture holding a toy magic wand is silly, but shouldn't get people to go all apeshit on her and make nasty comments. Yeah, I think we can all unite around that.
Yep.
Not that John Stewart said, I'm about 25 minutes behind.
We got that one.
No Control said bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, that's 110% true. It's I do want to in the future. The problem is like there isn't like a backup person who can do the other half of this job because everybody here's got jobs. Like I can't be like, hey, Tate, do you want to sit in, do 2 or 3 hours?
Fungible.
Do you want to do 3 hours of prep, thumbnails, the show, and then the post-production, uploading, A/B test? Like you just can't do that. Nobody's got the time
It's a big ask.
to do that. But you know, that's what it is. In the future, I'll just not get sick. How about that?
That's what sucks about getting sick when you're, an actual adult.
Yeah.
You're like, I simply do not have time for this.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, "What's a chapel roan? I'm sorry, don't hurt me." I have to go back and find like the first time we discussed
Chapel
Roan on
Yeah.
the show.
We got a
Because
membership.
I remember I was the one who said to you one day, "Have you heard of Chapel Roan?" And you were like, "No," and I had to tell you.
Well, no, because I had heard of Chapel Roan from Cities by Diana.
No, that was
it
definitely
after?
before we came across Cities by Diana. Yeah,
Okay, well, it's been
that
a
was
long
back
time
in
ago.
his day.
All right, Brian
Pop culture
Bledsoe.
junkie.
Brian Bledsoe, as a membership chat here,
Oh.
says saw this as an ad last week and didn't see any of this. Thoughts about getting it for a friend as a gag? Are you talking about the wand? Maybe he's talking about the wand.
I would go for the middle finger instead of the wand, actually. Or we could just, use our credit cards like normal people. How about that? I guess I'm a buzzkill for even saying that.
Yeah.
Pop culture junkie said, "So Mary, besides all the bad drivers, how do you like Nashville so far?" I don't think people are particularly bad drivers. I think they're like downright malicious. It's not a lack of skill. They're very skilled at bobbing and weaving through traffic and almost attempting to murder people on the road. It takes a lot of skill to do that. But yeah, I like pretty much everything about living in Nashville so far. I have no cause for complaint, other than the way that dudes dress around here. And also people not picking up their dog's shit on the sidewalk.
I just thought of something. Maybe as like the way that they win people back. They're like, okay, we're gonna race swap Snape, but we're gonna make Dumbledore straight.
Hey, I'm all about it. Sure.
They're
Let's
like,
make that
never
trade-off.
let him know your next move.
Shane H. Wilder said, "As I posted when sharing the latest internet show on the evolution of dating, do not watch. The only people who watch are weirdos who are undeserving of love and will probably die cold and alone." This is true. Yes. Do not watch a internet show. And if you do, don't tell me about it.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Congrats on coming home, glitches. Pax vobiscum." Yeah, that's always nice to hear. Even though I never believe it, when people say I had something to do with them going to church, that is nice to hear.
It's a very powerful
Brian
thing
Bledsoe.
it's like a very powerful thing to have somebody say to you.
Yeah, and I've gotten a lot of comments and DMs like that
That's
over
awesome.
the years, and it's nice to hear that I had something to do with that. Brian Bledsoe said, "I need to cancel that wand order now." Look, don't let me run your life. If you want to use a magic wand to pay for your coffee, go for it.
Like the better question
it's your
is,
funeral.
like, what if you're like the barista and you're like, are they going to attack me with that thing? Like, what are they going to do? Like, can I get one that looks like a sword?
See, most baristas are already like at their the end of their rope.
Yeah.
And like you're coming to them with your toy magic wand, hoping for a reaction. It's just not very considerate, I think. How about we just all try to bother each other as little as possible?
That's a fair point.
High Voltage 75 said, "I tried Sheets for the first time last weekend. I got a double stack burger and mac and cheese bites. 7 out of 10. Do I dare try the tacos next time?"
Okay, so I'm not even kidding you. The tacos are now the best thing on that menu because they have the street tacos. And they are incredible. Olivia will attest to this. It's the best thing on the menu. I've never had a burger from Sheets, so I I do like
Neither have I.
the mac and cheese bites though. So
Actually, I think the mac and cheese bites are underwhelming because they're like the same everywhere you get them. It's all like the same Cisco mac and cheese bites, but the mac and cheese actually from Sheets is pretty good. Red Snow said, "Sick Brett sounds weird because he is lacking tea."
that's just rude.
Why are y'all so mean to Brett sometimes?
Like I'm about to go live and I'm like, is it worth it?
Yeah, like, damn. This guy he's been back for 2 hours, and this is how you treat him.
Maybe tomorrow I'll just be like, you know what? Nah, and then I'll just go home.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, "Random PCC sickness fact. The last time anyone was out sick was Mary during Easter of 2025. Is that true?
I don't know. I mean, the show
I don't
would
even remember Easter 2025.
The only time that you'd ever know is unless it was me, really, right? Because it's like otherwise you could just fill in with. Hopefully, somebody can fill in on a day and whatever. I don't remember. That was a long time ago, but there. I mean,
it had to be more recent than that, but maybe not. I don't know.
There were times where like Mary's like, you shouldn't have come in because you're clearly not well, and I'm like, I'm fine, okay. And as I always said before, it's because of the mainstream media propaganda about how men overblow. You know, they have an overblown idea of being sick, and they're always like, oh, I'm gonna die.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you could smash some of those stereotypes,
But
that is why I ended up getting strep throat, so that's great. Do we have Rumble rants waiting for us
Yes,
here?
we do. I think that's the last one. I just want to make sure. There's one more here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, "Fine, Mary, I won't say you helped me come to the Catholic faith, mainly because I was already here before I ever knew you."
Well, yeah, then it just wouldn't be true.
All right, we do have some Rumble rants here, guys. First from Fire Hazard, says, OnlyFans owner, I never know how to pronounce his first name, but it's
Leonid
Radvinsky, and abortionist Kermit Gosnell died just a few days after Chuck Norris was promoted to guard of the pearly gates so he can roundhouse kick them to hell.
Amazing.
High Voltage 75 says, so Kellen couldn't fill in while you were sick? He spent all that time in the cuck chair learning your job for nothing? Well, first of all, Kellen has like a huge job and he does not have the time now to do the show. Again, this isn't just the 2 hours of doing the show. It's all the show prep. It's the thumbnails. It's the editing afterwards. It's the uploading. It's a full-time thing, and he's got his own job that involves a lot of other stuff. So you could not. St. Miles says, very happy right now, cutting the grass and trimming my fruit trees. Let's go. Wondering what will happen with the Potter series. Yeah, well, we will have to wait and see what happens with the Harry Potter series. I do think it's still going to do very well, at least in the first season to begin with. It will be a point of a discussion to see just how terminally online the discussion has been. And we got one from Grunmeister. Says, can someone send me back to 1990? I want to live in an objectively better time. I cannot send you back in time, unfortunately. I don't have that ability. And one more from Broody Gambit says, I'm sorry your voice isn't quite fully healed. I hope you continue to recover. I personally mix a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar with a tablespoon of honey and down it. It tastes bad, but I find that it helps. Yeah, I was drinking tea, and I don't like tea while I was sick. I was drinking a lot of tea. Also, it meant that I couldn't, I only really like drinking water because I like, sparkling water, with carbonation. Can't do that when you have bronchitis. You can't have the carbonation, so I had to drink flat water, which was
oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Chief Corey Anderson says, Brett acting like he doesn't have an older brother and never been joked about. You guys joke all the time. That's kind of the point.
Brett always takes it on the chin. He's good about it.
High Voltage 75 says, I only gave the burger high marks because the patties were huge. The taste was so-so.
I still haven't had a Sheetz burger, but now I don't live around Sheetz anymore.
What do they have? They have
nothing
like that out there?
No, just a bunch of overpriced Thistle and Thorn burgers. Nothing like Wawa. No,
Just put
no
the fries in the bag with newspaper, bro.
And for me, the sheets thing, like that was the only gas station I went to before moving.
Yep.
Because it just felt safe and it was well lit and all that. Yep. Now, like, I have to go to these sketchy gas stations. I don't know what's going on there. Who are the types that hang around? So I do miss Sheets quite a lot.
All right, guys, before we go, would you all hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel? If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. And thank you guys again for bearing with us while we got through the rough last week and a half. It has not been easy. I will say that the bright side of that is that it kind of reminds you how lucky you are to have a job you're actually annoyed that you can't go do. More than anything.
Yeah, I was missing it. I need, like I've said before, I need this as an outlet for everything I have, like all my pent up rage. Not really.
All right, Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. Remember that when I am not sick and my voice doesn't sound like this, PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. So thank you guys so much for that. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.